good morning, good morning, or good evening, wherever you're coming in from. Hey everyone, I'm so excited for our very first Not Feeling Like Myself Sunday. I'm so excited about this, and I'm believing that this is going to be a conversation a lot of you are going to want to have with your I will say your kids, your nieces, everyone. So I'm so excited that you're here going live today. This is called Not Feeling Like Myself Sunday. My name is Diana Patton. I am your authentic power strategist. I help executive women learn how to use their authenticity to speak their truth, to live a life of purpose, and to understand how their biology, visibility, their own brand, and their voice can be used to live their most authentic life, to do their greatest work. So we are going live here. I've invited some folks in. I hope that we see you in, but if not, doesn't matter because we're going to go ahead and get started. Um, so this is my first one. So y'all gonna have to just charge it to my head, not to my heart, if things don't work out right. But I hope that you guys get this, and of course, you will see this on the recording. So let's get into it. I want to make certain that the people that are joining us here live and on the recording are here for the right reasons. Okay. So, have you been feeling a little bit of brain fog lately? Exhausted, overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling like you can't handle a lot of things? I know for myself, I couldn't handle going into different rooms because it seemed like it was just so loud. Something like say, well, that's aging. That has a lot to do with a lot of people going through what's called menopause or perimenopause. How many of you guys are over 40? And like, well, this is a personal question. Yeah, I just like to get right into it. If you're over 40 and you're experiencing the symptoms of exhaustion, sudden weight gain, feeling like you are just on edge and not capable of handling some things in your brain logically, you're not crazy. Can we just put in the chat, I am not crazy? No, you are not crazy because you're going through a shift. Your estrogen and progesterone levels have decreased, and that's what's really going on. And so I want to share this with you because I know this feeling all too well. And I want to give you some research because the National Institute of Health did a research study about this actual terminology called not feeling like myself. And you can look it up. You can actually go on the internet and you can look up not feeling like myself and see that there are countless women who have said this to their doctors, their nurse practitioners, and this became the basis of a research study. Over 63% of women said that they have felt like this. And I just want to read to you some of the things that they were saying. They said that not feeling like myself is a highly common and validated experience, particularly for women navigating this perimenopause and midlife. 63% of midlife women experience this feeling at least half of the time, typically driven by anxiety, fatigue, brain fog, and mood changes. So now the thing is this phenomenon is really for women who are going through this perimenopause, menopause stage. However, it's also a signal of chronic stress, burnout, and thyroid hormonal imbalance. So this is not something that is just for perimenopause and menopause, but these other signals have been associated with this not feeling like myself. Now, I'm going to tell you, we all have a story. And the purpose of today's session is for me to get to know you and you to get to know me and to let you know that what I do here is all about keeping it real. We do not put on any type of airs. We don't have a significant amount of small talk. We like get right into it. And so if this is a person, if you're going through this, then you're in the right spot. If you're just looking at this and you're just doing some research, okay, lean in. But this doesn't apply to you, keep a step in, right? Because this is not something that you are feeling, but I'm going to tell you something. This is affecting your leadership. This is affecting the way that you show up. Why do I know that? Because it happened to me. So if you could give me just a moment, I would like to share a little bit of my personal story of when I started not feeling like myself. And I would love to hear from you. After I get done sharing my story, I would love for you to share in the comments, either live here or you can share in on the recording. When did you not start feeling like yourself? So for me, it was 2020. And a lot of you probably didn't feel like yourself in 2020 because we were going through the pandemic. But for me, it was, I really started waking up every single day feeling like like this dissonance, like waking up and I was in a fog and feeling really difficulty getting out of bed. My mind was ruminating. I also was shaking quite a bit. At the time, I was doing yoga. We were doing yoga. I was doing yoga in my basement because we weren't convening for yoga as a collective unit. And so I found myself consistently shaking. I also was feeling this sense of like I wanted to scream. Like, have any of you ever felt like you just wanted to scream? I don't know how any other way to describe it, but I felt like screaming would at least release some of the pain I was feeling inside. And this pain was not like I'm hurting from something pain. It was just this pain of just wanting to get out of my skin. And so I've never felt like that before in my life. And so I started to check my numbers. I started to check my blood pressure. My blood pressure was 148 over 90. So I knew there was a problem. So I said, I need to get to the doctor. Go to the doctor. And that's when the doctor was telling me it seems like you're dealing with some depression and anxiety. And when the doctor told me that, I'm like, me? I've never dealt with depression and anxiety. I've always been a person who's been able to just bounce back. But this really hit me. And I started to realize I was losing weight. Now, what did not trigger to my doctor that this could at all be associated with perimenopause and menopause was because I didn't have this typical symptoms of gaining weight. And most people have the typical symptoms of gaining weight. And at that particular time, I did not have that symptom. I was losing weight and I could not keep it on. I couldn't swallow. And what I knew was that my throat was feeling like it was blocked. And so I felt this is what I was going through my daily practice of what is really going on with me. Why can't I settle in? The doctors were trying to prescribe this anxiety medication, and I really didn't want to take it. I'm just going to keep it real. I was like, I don't need that. That's not me. I don't know what is wrong with me, but that's not me. And so that's when it started to come to this under like a surface level. Like, I think I feel like I'm going to die. Like I literally felt like I might not make it. Anybody feel like that? Maybe it's not that severe for you, but for me, it was that severe. And I really began to question a lot of things. So I did what people do when they go, okay, I need to check this out. And I don't know about y'all, but it's freezing in here. It is warm. It's June and I'm turning on my heat just because I just had a smoothie. So I did go ahead and go to the doctor. I go to a therapist and I started doing therapy and I started doing tap therapy. Anybody ever done tap therapy? Works phenomenal. And I started to connect the dots that not only was I dealing with some anxiety and depression, but I was also going through a deeper understanding, what I like to call the dark night of my soul. The dark night of my soul was me coming to this revelation that something is shifting. And see, all of us are going to be going through that. It's just a matter of whether we tap in to what that means and start to do some research, or we tap out. And a lot of women are tapping out. And when tapping out means that I'm just going to keep going at this pace, I'm going to find some things that are going to help numb the experience. I'm going to hang around people who are consistently like dealing with this, but in a negative way. And I'm not going to lean in. And now I'm seeing that I think you want to lean in. And we have to lean in because I was alone. I had no one to talk to. I felt like this was happening only to me. And nobody was sharing any research like this online. It was just like, I'm a corporate woman and I'm an executive woman. I don't want anyone to think that I don't have the capacity to do my job or to lead women. You see, the stigma and the negative bias that comes along with that feeling is pretty deep for us, isn't it? Because we're the go-to women. We're the people who get stuff done. And so the therapy really began to help. And the therapy revealed a lot to me because number one, I just really wasn't able and capable of just sitting down. I could not just sit down and do nothing. Anybody ever experience that? Like where you just feel like you cannot sit down and do nothing. Now, I was a yogi, but what I was doing was I was performing yoga. I wasn't being in yoga. And this began to reveal something deep about myself, but it also began to reveal something deep about we as women, as executive women, who were educated during what I like to call the industrial era. So that means you are over 40, you're about 45 and up, and you were taught to perform, right? So when this not feeling like myself comes in, you don't know what to deal with it. You don't know how to deal with it. And thankfully now we're talking about these things so that people that are younger than us are going to know how to deal with it. So, but it's going to require us to get real with ourselves. It's going to require us to be able to share our stories. This is something I just don't hear. I do not hear women getting so in tune with themselves that they're capable of at least sharing where things fall short, what's really happening on the inside. We're so scared that people will know about us and people will learn our stories and they'll judge us. And who wants to be judged? But then the vulnerable feeling of letting go of this perfection and this performance is so free. And what I do know a lot of women struggle with is being free. And so I share this with you because as I began to heal, as I began to know myself, as I began to make myself my full-time job, as I began to understand I am not a robot and I refuse to act like one, I started to realize I marked the day that I started not feeling like myself. And that was in July of 2020. It was July of 2020. Now, maybe I wasn't feeling like myself before July of 2020, but I just kept going and I kept running and I kept doing because that's what I was taught to do. And so some of you might say, this is the date that I started not feeling like myself. And by the way, when is that? When is the day? Do you have the day when you started not feeling like yourself? Or at least the time reference? You know, when you go to the gynecologist and they ask you, when was your last period? And you're like, well, we don't have to worry about that anymore. But in fact, I was like, when they asked me this, when was your last period? Like last meaning like final. I was like, I don't even know when that was. But like we have markers in our lives, and those markers are important for you to know. And that's why I want you to name it. I want you to name the time when you started not feeling like yourself, right? I want you to name it. Can you name it? If you're live with me, can you put it in the chat? When was the date? When was the time zone? What year was it when you started not feeling like yourself? And as you say, this was the time, how long has it been that you've been feeling you in that portal of not feeling like yourself? How long has that been? Because when you can name it, and you can describe the feelings associated with it, when you can see how long you've been dealing with it, that's power. Because an unexamined life is not a life worth living. And as women, we've got to start to examine ourselves to the degree that we do our work, to the degree that we actually put down goals and strategies for meeting certain financial metrics or KPIs within your job. That's how we have to live our lives. And when you begin to start to see yourself in real time, your life begins to unfold. And this is what I'm talking about. We as women are so disconnected from our biology that we outsource what it is that we need to other people. And we don't even know what it is that we need, and they don't know. You might think, oh, my doctor should know, my therapist should know, my OBGYN, what is it, gynecologist should know, right? These folks should know about me. You should know about you. You should have a diary, a workbook, a journal, a my plan. You know, they have them online now of you. I actually have that for myself. And you know what? I'm going to run and go get it real quick because I didn't have it in front of me. But give me a second. I'm going to go to my office and you can watch me do that. One second, just a second. Commercial break. One second. All right, where is it? All right, that didn't work out too well. I usually keep a notebook of everything, but this is for my kids. This is health insurance information, 2015. I must have taken it out and might be looking. Hey, one second. Let me check one more place. Okay, hold on. Let me check the bedroom. I seriously can't find it. I seriously can't find it, but thanks for staying with me. Um, Instead, I picked up my blood pressure device instead. But usually, I keep a notebook of everything that happens to me. And I must have like put it somewhere where I was journaling because sometimes I've been journaling outside. But did you notice that I ran around and I'm not too out of breath? We'll talk about that another time. But, anyways, I just really want us to begin to document this and keeping this historical record of ourselves so that we can start to learn how to master ourselves. So, if anyone would like to share, I would love to I would love to be able to learn from you what you think and how this has impacted your leadership. And what I want to be able to do on this channel during these times is I would love to have live conversations with you. I would love to chat with you and have a dialogue with you via chat. And at some point, what I might do is I might go on YouTube, or excuse me, on Zoom and start to bring you into the Zoom room with me and live stream that way. And the reason is because I think a lot of us just need to be able to talk this out. And y'all don't know me. You are like, she's crazy. Yes, I am. I love to have a good time. I love to be able to share real things that have been happening. And so that's the reason why I wanted to live stream here to be able to talk to you more about that. And I want to be able to dive back in, if you just give me a moment to dive back into some of the symptoms that I was experiencing when I was going through this, not feeling like myself. I remember being on an airplane and I was driving. My husband's like, maybe a change of environment will help you. And so I did. I literally went to DC to be with my friend Deb Porter. And, you know, I went, and I also went to my sister Lola's house. And when I was on the plane flying from Alexandria, Virginia, I was sitting there, and I was looking around, and I started to think, is anyone else dealing with this? I started to look at people, like literally look at the back of their heads, to kind of like see if I could feel the vibration that maybe I'm not alone in this. I know this sounds interesting, but this is what I did. And I sat there, and I just put down the little shelf thing, and I put my laptop on it because I thought, well, let me see if I can do some work. And started to look at it, and literally put my head into my laptop like this. And I just started going, ah, ah, like literally just trying to, I just wanted to take out of my head what was causing the problem, and, you know, get rid of it. And so instead, I put my laptop back down. I went into the bathroom. I took a whole wad of the paper towels that they give, that are there to wipe your hands, and I put it into I got it wet, and then I put it into my mouth, and I said, like that, screaming, trying to not cause a problem. But I was not okay. I was not okay. And a lot of people, like my husband, just couldn't understand it, because I've always been the strong one. I've always been the one who was capable of carrying everything, and I just couldn't carry it. My kids were looking at me like, Mom, you're okay. Everything's okay with you. You're good. And I go, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was not. I was not okay. And this was a very scary time. Some of you don't know my personal story, but my backstory, I wrote about it in my book, Inspiration in My Shoes. And this was a story of my life, I come from a very distressed childhood. My father was abusive. My mom was kind of trying to carry it all. I come from a family of seven. I'm number six of seven. And I really didn't have a lot of good feelings about being raised interracial. Our father's family, who was white, disowned us. So we didn't know the white side of our family. And so, being the sixth child of seven, I was technically the baby. I had five older sisters and one younger brother. And I felt in my childhood that my source of dealing with the pain associated with growing up with trauma was to run. When I say run, like literally, I'm talking about Forrest Gump. I was running. I literally started to run. And I found freedom in that. Like I literally thought running is what's going to help me. And I discovered that. I also discovered sports, playing basketball was an outlet for me to be able to get out my emotions, and to be able to, share a little bit of my feelings, because talking to my sisters about my feelings was not necessarily the best thing. I mean, we did a good job as children playing together and pretending and using our imagination, which is what most kids did. We made mud pies. We pretended that we were going to outer space. We climbed trees. We did all those kinds of things. We played foursquare. We kicked the ball, and played kickball. We did all those things. But I literally felt when I was younger that there was something else, that there was another place. There was another um, dimension. I didn't call it dimension, but there was just another thing that I could do. And so that's what held me. Now, because I learned how to deal with the stress and traumas of growing up, we all learn a certain pattern, we learn certain behaviors. And my pattern behavior was just keep going, like don't stop. And I started to understand how getting good grades, being successful as an athlete, being successful in school was going to help me. And so that became my prescription of success. That began, and it was seen pretty well, right? By all intents and purposes, because, you know, she's a good athlete. She's done well in school. She's good. But what I didn't do was know who I was. I didn't receive a lot of love, meaning like traditional love. Like and I do a lot of mentoring now because I always feel like I'm the adult version of what I needed when I was younger. And so I did not know when I was younger, um, just to be hugged, right? Just to be hugged and said, you're good. You don't have to perform or do anything for me to love you. But I realized that if I like did and performed these things, then someone would like see me and go, good job. You did good. Congratulations. I wanted that because I didn't have that hugging, loving, you don't have to do anything performing to be loved. And there are so many people who grew up that way. So then you take that pattern and you put it into me, and you multiply it year after year after year, you can see why 2020 was the sit down moment because I had no place to go. I had no one to save. I had nowhere to, congregate, and running, of course, was a thing for me. But even then, I was scared to even go out of the house. We were all scared to go out of the house, and so and then also, let's not forget, I didn't tell you that I had a labrum tear in my hip, so I couldn't really run. So I was really restricted from going out and doing what it is that I knew kept me safe, kept me normal, and kept me feeling a sense of stability. And so all of that's to say that when we say, I'm not feeling like myself, the self that you knew even when you were growing up may have been the self that was developed at the hands of something you had to survive. And you don't even know what thriving is. So when you say, I don't feel like myself, it could be that you are breaking free from a self that kept you restricted in survival mode. You picking up what I'm laying down? Because that self is not a sustainable self that's going to get you to the next level, right? Do you see what I'm saying? Like that sustainable self, that self that you built up. Hello, Miss Pearl. That self that you built up when you see, the thing is you get to the level when you say, I don't feel like myself, but you've got to remember how that self was built. How was that self built? You got to go back and see. I believe that you can go forward and you can set a new mark, you can set a new way of doing things, but until you examine what got you there and the patterns that got you there, will you be able to achieve the next level? And most people aren't willing to do that. We just want to skippity doo dah and go to the next. And I think that that's good. But when you stumble and you fall and you begin to kind of like go, why is this happening to me again? Because you don't realize that what you're seeking in your life is the self that got you to where you are now. And there is a new self, there is a new way, there's a new dimension of you that's waiting for you to say, okay, I want to lean in, I want to learn more about her, and I want to examine her. And that, my friends, is where oh, what happened? Okay, did something happen? Are we still live? Okay. And I know, oh, it went to a commercial break. I was like, is this a commercial break? I lost y'all for a second. Yes. Yes, Pearl. Yes, okay, we're live. I believe that a lot of us don't do this. And so, therefore, we don't get to the next, and we begin to recycle relationships. We recycle jobs. We find ourselves back into, we leave one thing and then go back to the same job. We leave a relationship, go back to the same relationship. We leave a certain environment, a place that we were going, and find ourselves right back to that same environment. And then we go, why does this keep happening to me? It keeps happening to me because when you started realizing you weren't feeling like yourself, you didn't go into examination mode. You didn't start to say, oh, this is a critical juncture where I need to start doing some research and I need to start analyzing what's really going on. And so, the reason why I believe that this is a great place to start, this is a fantastic place to start when you hit perimenopause and you hit menopause, because this is an invitation. Not feeling like myself, I like to call it an invitation. I invite you to take the red pill or the blue pill. Yes, the matrix, because you need to step out of the matrix. You have built a life and you've built it. No one else did. You built it. And it was built at the hands of your belief system. It was built at the hands of what you saw when you were younger and you just multiplied it. Perhaps you got a degree, perhaps you got a master's degree, and you even got even a higher degree. You became an attorney, became a doctor, and then you put yourself into a box called a career, and then you began to follow the steps, and you started to realize this ain't exactly what I thought it was going to be. Right? Because you're a human. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You have feelings, you have emotions. And guess what? You have a signature deep inside of you that was given to you at birth, that is an assignment that you have to fulfill. And your heart will never feel content. It won't feel like it's settled. It won't feel like it's fulfilled until you crack it open. And to crack it open means that I don't feel like myself. Period, point blank. And you aren't realizing this is your rally cry. This is your invitation. This is the marker for you to start saying, okay, from here on out, I'm locking in. And are you picking up what I'm laying down? So today, what I want you to do is I want you to write down, what day did you start not feeling like yourself? What are you feeling? Actually write out the emotions, the body, the mind, all the things. Start to write all of that down. Now, I am a learner. I am a growth learner. And I have begun to understand that the more I read, the more I learn, the more I step into venues like this, my life begins to change. So I want to ask you, are you the type of person who really likes to do research? Are you the type of person who likes to lean in? Because if you are the person who likes to lean in, you are going to really love this research called you. You are going to love it because you are going to start to see things in a whole new way. Now, I will tell you, there's going to be some things that you need to be aware of. Here's the warning signs that I want you to know. As you begin to not feeling like yourself, and we're going to start tapping into this in the series that we have. I'm not going to go deep into it today, but I do want to warn you of a few things. I want to warn you that it ain't going to always feel the best. You might say, okay, no problem, because I'm not really feeling my best right now. Yeah, what I mean by that is it's like building muscle. I don't know if you know this, if you've been following me long enough, that I'm training for a bodybuilding competition. And every single day I wake up and my desire is to feel amazing and to have a sense of a surety in myself, but knowing that I'm going to be ripping and tearing my muscle. I literally am going into a position where I'm literally breaking down the muscle fibers. I am tearing them down. Do you feel me? I am tearing them down. Why? Because in order to build stronger muscles and to build a lifestyle of strength, I have to break that shit down. It's got to be broken down. And some of y'all don't really know what the benefits of a breakdown is. The reason you're so anxious And the reason you're so burnt out is because that box that you put yourself in is not good for you. And so you have to break it down. So the warning sign is it may not feel good. And if you like, I don't want to do that. You can't do this work, my sis. You're like, I don't want all that. This ain't for you. See, because this one is for the legacy makers. What I'm trying to talk to are the people who are going to be showing up to corporate America with a whole new style, not the style that you got from the magazine or from the latest trends on TikTok. This is historically, as my girl Pearl says, from our ancestors who are giving us the code for success that they got whipped and beat for. Come on, pow! That's what I'm talking about. That is the true power. That is the true essence of your ability to scale. Scale not only in your I'm not feeling like myself scale, because again, it's an invitation. You're going to be able to scale in the wealth, because I just believe in wealth. I do not, and then people talk about being rich and having lots of money and, kind of having all this lifestyle and driving these fancy cars and doing all this other stuff. To me, it's all a show. If at the end of the day, your nervous system is jacked, it's all a show. If your blood pressure is out of whack, that just kind of like rhymed. And that's the reason why I'm not really concerned about building riches. I'm concerned about building wealth, because wealth has a transfer. And I'm transferring my wealth to you as a corporate woman, to you as an executive woman, to understand that not feeling like myself is the invitation to build your wealth. Not feeling like myself is an invitation to build your health. Not feeling like myself is an invitation to build better relationships in your life. Because the thing is the mindset that you had that built your career or your finances to that particular time got you to this far. You can't have that lifestyle and that mindset to get you this far. And even when you have relationships, I've been married for 28 years. Do you think that we are the same people? Absolutely not. And so we have to decide. We got to get to certain levels and we have to break certain mindsets, shut that shit down, come up with a new mindset. Do we want to stay together? Do we want to keep building? Do we want to keep growing? That's relationships. And you have to examine that. I've been examining that with my husband of 28 years. Don't get me wrong. I have literally almost drafted the divorce papers several times. But I was like, okay, do I really want this? I had to examine it. Do I want what is going to help this relationship grow? There are some relationships, as you already know, you watch and read the videos and you see the memes. Some relationships are going to be in your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. You need to know the difference. And you need to start examining. Not feeling like myself gives you the invitation to decide whether that relationship is valuable to get you to the next level, right? Because if there's something I do not understand, nor do I ever want to be, is in mediocrity. This feeling that it's just like, ugh, it's just how it's always been. This is how it's going to have to be. And I got to have to stay that. I know that's not you. You know why I know that's not you? Because you're here. You're listening to this. And everything I'm spitting out at you right now, good thing we're not in the same room, because you'd be like, dang, Don, no, for real, you is spitting. Is you would be like, yes, because the relationship, this is an invitation for your relationship. And wealth, because see, wealth has what I call momentum to it. Wealth has sustainability to it. Wealth is long term, right? Because the thing I see so many people is they're hustling, trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Let me go out and do this new little fangle thing. Let me go out and do this new little fangle thing. That stuff is not sustainable. In the short term, it feels good because it gives you the dopamine hit. You get the likes on social media. You feel like, oh, ooh, this feels good. You might have 5 or 6 people who join your programs, or perhaps there are, you get a promotion or a raise. But when you really look at the whole scheme of things, is that really going to build your wealth? See, when you build wealth, you have to think about investment, and you have to think about what's going to give me a return on this particular time, energy, resource. How can I take this and multiply it with the least amount of energy? How can I grow that with the least amount of energy? How can I make this a process, a sustainable process? This is the reason why people who are going to sleep on AI, you are missing out. That's because you're living in fear. This false evidence appearing real that AI is going to do something negative to you. No, you will allow it to do something negative to you. So wealth is built on I'm not feeling like myself. What's the invitation that I need to explore to get me to this new wealth profile? You see, that's a systems thinking. And systems thinkers are profound when they actually have a growth mindset. Systems thinkers, right? So that's wealth. And of course, your health. And that's what I want to leave you with, because when you don't take your health seriously, your health will begin to show you warning signs. We do not, and I'm just going to repeat this, as we age, we age. We have these things called telemarkers. Have you ever heard of telemarkers? This is a biological structure that is a test that you can take to actually determine what your actual age is in your body, not your physical age. I'm 57. My telemarkers are in the 30s. My heart rate, my resting heart rate is 45. Yes, that's right. That's the reason why you saw me running around the room, I wasn't out of breath. It takes a lot. So what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm very efficient in my heart. My blood pressure remains very normal. It is at a sustained pace. So therefore, I can go out and I can do some things that are very pressure oriented. I can go into high stake negotiations. I can go into rooms where I know that no one likes me, or I perceive that they don't like me, and I'm feeling okay. Why? Because I've learned to train my nervous system. Now, don't get me wrong, my nervous system and I have had to learn to be friends, because sometimes we fight each other. The vagus nerve inside my body had to learn how to become stabilized. And so, this metabolic health and your nervous system needs regulation. You need to know your numbers. And this not feeling like myself is an invitation for you to start to explore, what are my numbers? What is my heart rate doing? What is my nervous system saying? Okay, what is my glucose? What are my glucose levels? Right? Where is my protein and fiber? Because you are a human. You do need to eat these things so that you can become efficient. And I believe your health is your wealth, but I like to keep them separate because that's kind of the way we think, but they are completely entwined. I know a lot of people. My husband is a wealth guy. He helps people manage their wealth. I know a lot of people who use the term wealth, but what they're doing is building riches. And they're so poor in their health that by the time they turn about 58, 59, the markers are so bad. And a lot of them turn to cancer. We turn to having to buy new hips, because a lot of people's hips are all worn out. Their knees are worn out. They can't even like bend over. This is at 59? What? This is your prime of your life. And people in menopause, we're getting frozen shoulder, we're having like tears and things that just come up out of nowhere. It's because you need to understand that your health, not feeling like yourself, is an invitation to understand your health at such a deeper level. This is what I'm talking about. So, what I've done is I've created this executive biology audit because I've come to realize that when I first started the Rise Advocates Academy, and for those of you know, I lead the Rise Advocates movement, meaning like I want women to speak up, advocate for yourself, go in there. You are a strong woman. Woo! Yes, I go to these conferences, these women's conferences. You know, you are a bad boss, bitch, babe, all that stuff, and you got this. It's just all show because y'all tired and worn down. A lot of you can't even you going, I'm just tired. I can't deal with this. Yeah, because how are you going to take what you learned at that conference and put it into your real life? Because you have practices that are poor. You have poor practices. And so you are poor in spirit. You're poor in your bank account. You're poor in your health. You're poor in your relationships. You're poor in every single area, but you're pretending like you're rich in all these other areas, right? And so, what I want us to do is, I want you to take all those things and learn how to put it into a system, because I want you to be a systems thinker with a growth mindset. So, I created this thing called the Executive Biology Audit, because I just feel like if we can know our numbers, I know, bless these ladies. Pearl, I'm feeling it this Sunday. See, the thing is I come in here on Sunday mornings because traditionally I was to go to the Baptist church. I don't go to traditional churches anymore. Okay. I am not at all religious at all, but I 100% practice spirituality. And on Sunday mornings is a very, it's a very deeply spiritual time for me. And so I feel very deeply connected to my creative spirit and to this belief that I am on a different level. When on Sunday mornings, it's like I attune to the dimension of myself that's living in this free zone. And so therefore, when what's coming to me when I'm speaking to you is coming straight down from God itself, from the universal source of all power, all knowing, all vibrational energy that I could ever tap into. That's the reason why I don't have any notes. I don't sit there and follow an outline. The outline is given to me. I just know that we're talking about not feeling like myself. And so therefore, I'm taking everything that I have learned over the last 30, 40 years, and I'm giving it to you right now in real time. That's why going live is important, because then you get to actually see and hear and feel the vibrational energy that comes from an experiential person who is living with an experience that just so happened to create some methodologies and frameworks that I know work. And that one is the Executive Biology Audit. So what I'm going to do is I want to have you guys take a look at it, because I want to have you test it out for me. I'm going to actually put it into the chat, because what it does is it takes you through 4 quadrants. One is energy, how stable is your energy? Okay. The second is how quickly do you return to a calm state? Right? Because the thing is, I'm not asking you to consistently be calm, because it's not going to work. People are going to piss you off. You're going to get an email. Someone's going to remind you of something, and it's just going to, all right. How quickly do you return to calm? Right? Is it 1 day? Is it 2 days? Has it been 6 weeks? Some of y'all are living in dissonance and you're living with hypervigilance. And that gives you things like shingles. I had shingles. Your girl had shingles. That's nervous system issue. So while I was out here doing these things, in the back of my mind, I was trying to control so many things, and it wasn't working. Right? And I've showed on social media all my scars. And why I like to show the scars to you is because it's just the way that it is. I mean, I live with them and I want to show them. The third quadrant is identity. It's this identity, like, what identity are you assuming in this particular moment? Right? Are you impostoring, code switching? And the fourth is executive performance. So I've put this together because I really believe that you're not broken. I 100% believe that you are not broken. What you are is unmeasured and unregulated. And when you begin to measure and regulate yourself, you will begin to see a whole new way forward. You will begin to learn how to live with this I'm not feeling like myself in strategy moving forward. That's what I have to share with you today. So I would love to hear from you. Some of you have stayed on. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who are going to be watching this and the recording. I'd love to hear from you. Please put your comments. So the takeaway that I want to have from today is one, how and when did you know that you weren't feeling like yourself? Like, when was that? And then the second thing is, what was your body going through when you didn't feel it? And then just share your experience if you would like to. Or you can direct message me. If you are on LinkedIn, you can direct message me and I would love to take it further. If you have questions about the audit, I'd love to hear about it, because the audit will take about 10 minutes. It's free. But obviously, the whole point of the audit is so that you can learn some things about yourself. You're going to get your own report, but then it's also to see, like, hey, maybe you and I might be a good fit to work together. Because at the end of the day, we are all trying to do something. I believe that we're trying to do something to make the world a better place. And I have strategies, I have frameworks, I have things I know will help you. So I want to leave you with that. And I'm so grateful to you for being a part of my live today. I will be live every single Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I look forward to having you in. Until then, just know that you are not a robot. You are your own full-time job. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, and I want you to live it with the most joy, the authentic feeling that you are free to be who you want to be and doing your greatest work ever. Until next time, we'll see you then.